Hello, and welcome to the show. This is the GoodWind podcast, and I'm Niko LaPalooza, your host, and coming to you live from Brazil, Ipanema, Brazil, just like the last episode. But today is unlike the last episode because it is extra special. And the reason it's special, if you're watching, you already know, but if you are just listening, it's special because today we're joined by a guest. This guest is an extremely gifted vocalist. She is an artist, a mover, a dancer, but she really does have a special voice when it comes to singing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how her musical career or path or wherever she decides to take it, she can really make something special from it. And yeah, this person's also very special to me because they are my sexual consigliere. They are my my partner in nonviolent crimes, and my love. Introducing to you, Miss Maddy Hughes. Hey, Maddy.
Hey.
Okay. Thank you for coming to the show today. And no, okay. So Maddy has been out here with me in Brazil. She has not done any traveling outside of the country by herself. She's been outside with her family, but it's her first time out of the country without her family. And not only that, she decided to go learn about music and drink ayahuasca for the first time in the jungle as well. So there's a lot to unpack and a lot to hear about her experience. And yeah, I'll let you take it. How is Brazil? Amongst the places you've traveled with your family, how is Brazil? And is there any differences in traveling alone-ish? I mean, I'm with you. I've been with you the whole time, but without your parents or sister.
Brazil is so cool. By the way, thank you for your kind words. It's nice. It's nice to hear. But Brazil's really cool. Everybody's so accommodating and barely know any Portuguese to get by. But people are like still trying to talk to us, still trying to speak to us, which is a part of the experience of traveling. Usually you communicate with people, you share. So yeah, it's been really special to talk with people and see South America for the first time and be in the rainforest. And it's different than traveling with my family, just because when you're with your family, there's a level of comfort and everything is kind of guaranteed. Food, a place to stay. You have to mind your money when you're walking the path by yourself. You have to be safer, make more decisions based off of what you're comfortable with versus what your family, your group is comfortable with. It's very liberating, but it's also something you have to be more mindful about. But
Yeah, we didn't take the opportunity to learn Portuguese before we came down here, so we're learning on the fly. And I don't know, a lot of the time that we've been spending here has been with native Portuguese speakers who also speak English. So we've kind of been relying on them quite a bit up until these last few days where we've been on our own. But how you went out on your own today and went to the bakery and picked up some bread and all that stuff. What was the communication like, not hardly knowing any Portuguese?
Well, it wasn't difficult. There are only so many things you really need to say to people. I mean, in just day to day, it's not like you're holding whole conversations with the people who work in these places, but basic things like, debit or credit, or can I help you with something? How much does this cost? Like those things it was difficult at some points. Like when I went to the bakery, I walked in and immediately it's like I've never went into a bread store. And yeah, she gave me a loaf of bread for free because I was struggling so hard, which is probably not normal. So if you ever go to Nima in Rio, in Ipanema, don't expect a free loaf of bread.
But it's possible.
It's
if you struggle hard enough, it's possible. So that is something I haven't really spoke about, is when I'm in a different country, and particularly when I'm learning a new language, even when I'm speaking in Spanish, which
You're good at Spanish.
I'm low intermediate at Spanish. I can have a basic conversation. I can get around anywhere. I can listen to the directions pretty well. But, having deep intellectual conversations of the heart, like, I would have to rely more so on body language and eye contact and things like this to really communicate. And when speaking in a second language, learning how to say things efficiently. Like when I'm speaking English, there's so much fat in the language because I have such a broad vocabulary that I can really just go. I don't have the vocabulary in Spanish, and I certainly don't have it in Portuguese. So everything I say is fatless. So it's like flavorless, but it does the basic job of communicating, like help or stop or bread. Yes or no. It's like, or bread or milk. And it's a good thought experiment, at least. It's a good mirror to learn how I'm speaking, like for this podcast, for example, and where I can cut the fat and where I can communicate more efficiently, more effectively, and where I can add a little bit of flavor. So that's something every time I go to a different country, I'm really learning, like, the mirror is up of how I communicate and what I say and what I don't say.
Yeah. I find myself definitely, even when I'm confronted with people saying things, it's even hard to like do the body language. It's such a pride thing. It's so much like ego. It's like, oh, what if I look stupid? Like, oh, these people behind me in line are just like, hurry up, gringo. Like, you're wasting everybody's time. But, so it just, again, like Brazilians so far have been so accommodating and so sweet, and like the few people who speak English, even if it's broken English, they're like still engaging in us, and it's like very heartwarming, because there's definitely places in the world where you go and it's like, if you're an English speaker, they don't even want to associate with you. Even some places in the world where if you go there and you don't speak the perfect form of their language, they get like pissed at you. But
like where?
Well, I've heard from my sister. She went to Paris and she spoke perfect fluent French, Belgian French, which isn't different really, but they'll disagree probably, the Parisians. But she went to Paris and she was speaking French, and few people picked up on her accent and made comments on it and said that she wasn't speaking perfect French. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of harsh, especially coming from strangers. Maybe from friends it's cool, like you can make fun of your friends or your family if they're like trying their best but you stumbling a little bit. I find that you can do that with people you're comfortable with, but if you're doing that with strangers, then that's a dick move.
I've never been to France, but I do get the sense that the population of French people that know English is higher than the population of Brazilians that know English. So I feel like maybe a lot of times they will just speak English because they happen to know it. Now here, anytime I come to South America, which is, I don't know, I guess I lived here for a year and now I'm back, so just 2 times. But the ratio of people that know English is low. Like, you can't rely on it. you can't count on people knowing English. So we attempted to I had some wine yesterday, so and I got extremely drunk off of a glass, too.
2 glasses. 2 big
And a tiramisu.
And a mascarpone torte.
Yeah, so I was really high, and I was trying to talk to a waitress. Like, I was really making an effort to speak Portuguese, and she gave up on me after 2 sentences. It just didn't happen. And yeah, people have been nice, but I actually had my first disagreeable experience today. I got really mad at a stranger after all my lessons, after all the love that I've been practicing, and after all the lessons from ayahuasca and staying present and being patient and being able to listen to all sorts of things without being shaken or stirred up. Didn't happen today. And we were on the beach. We decided to do a morning workout on the beach. And when you're on this beach in Ipanema, at least, there are vendors.
Everywhere. They're everywhere, but yeah.
They're probably everywhere, but we've only been to Ipanema. So, and these vendors, blessed, like, honestly, it's not that bad of a job, but some people are carrying grills. They're carrying grills, not mouth grills, like hot fucking cheese, like fondue kits. Literally,
cheese
they're selling cheese, and it's got to weigh a bunch. It's got to be hot as fuck, and the sun shines a lot down here in Brazil during the summer. So it's a hustle. It's working harder than I've worked many days of my life.
Plus, it's like you're trekking up and down miles of beachfront.
Of sand.
In sand. And
we know just from working out today that doing sprints in sand, I damn near... I busted. My chest almost caved in upon itself from 3 sprints through sand. 3 all full exertion sprints. So
all you can eat sprints.
I was about an hour into a workout, tired. I was feeling my legs were getting shaky. I was fasted, and this guy comes up, and I'm in the middle of saying something to Maddy. We're talking about the sprints we have left to do. And we're discussing the order, and I'm proposing something. I'm like, let's do 4 down back. You go, then I go, then you go, and we'll repeat that 4 times. So it'll be a total, 16 sprints for this 30 yards through sand. And I'm at the beginning of saying something, and this guy with a huge cheese grill just says, "Queso?" It's 9:30 in the morning, by the way. We went for an early workout. Queso?
Fried cheese.
Queso? And look, there's been 300 vendors. We've gone to the beach 3 days. There's been at least 100 a day. Yeah. And every single one, I look them in the eye, appreciating their soul for who they are, and I say, "No obrigado." No thank you. Mm-hmm. No thank you. Mm-hmm. No thank you. I love you. I respect it. No thank you. I don't want cheese or biscuits right now. Maybe
I don't need a cell phone charger right now.
Yeah. Like, side note is, like, some of these people have really bad business plans. Uh-huh. Like selling electronics on the beach that look used, like, compared to the guy who's selling sunscreen or hats or sunglasses.
Or just the acai. There's people walking around selling acai or, like, drinks that make sense to be on the beach. You're not at the beach drinking hot chocolate. You're not
hot cheese.
Hot cheese. Like, nothing like hot friggin' cheese to cool you off in the 90-degree weather.
After doing sprints on the beach.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, this guy is not going to he's not going to break what I'm saying. I'm in the middle of saying something. I'm a sovereign individual who I need to respect myself, and I can't just be pulled away at every cheese vendor that passes by. Yeah. So I decided to continue talking to Maddy, and he's still saying queso. Every 4th word, not even on a consistent 1, 2, 3, 4. Queso, 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 queso. And I finally get done with what I'm saying to Maddy, and then I look at him and say, "No thank you," in English. That's how you know I'm a little upset. No, thank you. Marijuana? No, thank you. And then he starts saying something I don't understand. I've said no thrice, at least twice. I think it was thrice. And he keeps trying to sell me some sort of cheese, wheat, marijuana conglomerate. And I'm sitting on the ground, so he's talking down to me with a hot grill around my face. And I'm just like, and cheese. And I'm like, no!
Summoning it from the lower.
But it wasn't like a roar. It was kind of like a no. Like a.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Was like that.
It wasn't fully powerful. I was clearly frustrated and aggravated. I was like, no, because I was winded. I was tired as fuck.
I know.
Oh, I know. And like he kind of smiled at me, and I stood up like I was gonna do something.
Smiled at you.
Because I was thinking about because the grill's heavy. He's front heavy.
Take his cheese, make him eat all of it.
So push the grill down. He goes down. It's strapped to his neck. The leverage is there. I'm thinking bad things. I'm thinking of starting a fight with a cheese vendor on a beach. And I stand up and I say, no! And it wasn't cool. He just smiled and walked away. But, man, I'm still shaking.
Yeah. I mean, there are moments that I was like heaving, like dry heaving, almost about to yak because of the sprints. And like people coming up and being like, do you want some cheese? Like, no. Situational awareness, dude. Like, I'm sweating on the ground. I don't want cheese. Cheese is not going to help me. There was one guy, though, like, it was kind of funny. You were still doing yoga. It started off with him doing yoga and me doing yoga. But we were, like, starting off there, and I was, like, kind of stretching and starting to move a little bit more. And this guy comes up, like, just in the corner of my view. And he's like, agua? I'm like,
did you get it?
Nice. No, but we didn't bring our wallets. But that's good business right there. Like, he knew what I was doing, saw what I was doing, and offered something that might have actually helped. So,
yeah, the cheesy guy just felt like a troll. And I think because I didn't acknowledge him right away, he was just like, oh, fuck this American. I'm just going to stand and make him uncomfortable. Yeah, and it worked. I broke. Like,
what are you going to do? Fire me?
I was thinking, like, what would be the repercussions of choking a cheese guy out on the beach? Like, first off, getting arrested abroad is not recommended.
Have you been arrested abroad?
No. But I have had a police confrontation abroad, which has been it's just, look, especially if someone else is accusing you and they speak the language, you're basically fucked. Yeah. It seems that way. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. I basically stood up like I was going to do something and didn't. I'm very not proud of this. I think we should move on. I got some more processing to do. And I don't know. Is the lesson I just acknowledge everyone still and say no thank you? Or, I was thinking, I'm like, this is why Brazilians are so it's not non-reactive, but they're non-celebratory. They're almost indifferent. They're like indifferent.
The Latin indifference.
The Latin indifference is real. And I'm thinking the reason is because there are so many pushy salespeople like on the beaches and on the street that you have to develop a harder shell, a harder level of indifference, because I still feel bad for not acknowledging every vendor that passes with a thank you. And I think eventually I have to let that go so that this energy of just, and I thought I was letting it go, but then I end up facing the first troll and he bested me.
Yeah. And speaking from a woman's perspective,
we don't do that on this show.
Speaking from my perspective, walking anywhere with Nick, it's different. I notice though, it's like a stark difference when I'm alone. Like walking down the street alone, I have to worry which maybe I don't have to worry, but I have to be mindful. I know I could feel eyes on me. Even the other day when we were at the beach, walking down the beach, it's different. The vendors, when they approach you too, it's like, it's way more aggressive. And I have to say, I don't say thank you, because it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, in any culture, approaching a woman alone, it's not...
With a basket of empanadas. That's a blessing. The empanada people are particularly attractive. Did you notice that?
They were okay. Like, you mentioned the one girl that was like, oh,
and the guy.
The empanada girl, she could have taken me away. She was fine. Like,
for a beach vendor, no, she was better than fine.
Girl with hot cheese meat in her basket.
Her pockets.
That, yeah, I guess.
In her bread pockets.
Ew. I just think, in general, like, the people here, they're pretty cool. They're pretty nice. There are a few pushy people. There was that couple that was selling the skirts. Like, that was kind of strange. But it was smart.
It was creative, at least. And they're selling contextually. They were selling sarongs at a beach. Yeah. Perfect.
Right. Like, that's what I was saying about the guy with the agua. Like, he saw me, like, struggling. Like, head between the legs, sweating. Just, agua?
I wonder how you choose your beach selling path. Like, it's like, well, I have a fondue kit. Or like, how do you pick your path? I mean, there has to be better margins, and just some people just need a business coach. And not that I should be that guy, but another thing I think about when traveling abroad, I'm like, coming from America, this is a little shitty, but it's also true. America just has a bunch of stuff that works. We're machines.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there's an efficiency that America has that doesn't exist in a lot of places, and that we lose something in that too. We lose a little bit of heart that we sacrifice for this mind style of living. That being said, sometimes when I travel, I'm like, oh, I could take a business that already exists in America and just go to Venezuela, go to Brazil, and kind of reinvent this business and probably be successful just simply from being aware in America.
Maybe not being aware as much as just being privileged to different things, like a toilet that flushes toilet paper, or the knowledge of a washing machine. Like, that's my experience.
They have both those things.
They do, but the toilet paper's here. You're not supposed to flush. Even here, you're not supposed to flush toilet paper.
Okay, well, I'm not going to replumb entire infrastructure of a city. There's other things that you can do.
There's good money there.
Probably not. Anyways.
Speaking of plumbing.
Yeah, this is what you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it not what you want to talk about?
I'd like to move on to other experiences. I think people have a good grasp of how shitty we are in terms of visiting other countries and our era of privilege, and there's a lot of gratitude there, but we certainly haven't been showing it in this episode, which is probably okay.
Hopefully. Please be good to us, internet.
So, your first ayahuasca retreat, your first music workshop, any thoughts that permeate directly from that experience?
Yeah. For one, going into the situation, both the music workshop and the ayahuasca, I was very hesitant. Even just the music workshop, which I am in love with music. I'm passionate about music. But even still, like, coming into it, I was like, I'm probably going to take a day to myself, or a day or two. Like, oh, what's the use of doing it every single day? I'm going to wear myself down. Already writing myself out a little bit. But upon getting into that workshop, realized that it's not even a choice. Like, if you are a part of it, you're a part of it. You're not skipping days because you literally paid for it. And also, it's a group effort. It's not just like oh, you get to go into class and you take what you take from it and whatever. It's structured. There's days where we do things. There's days where we don't do things. Like there were 3 or 4 lessons of guitar, which I really struggled with. And I could have just, if I really wanted to, I could have sat out, but I didn't. So that was difficult, but it was also rewarding. And then the ayahuasca, for different reasons, I was like, I don't want to do it. I'm scared. I can't. It's too spooky. Like, I'm sensitive enough to things that are elementary to some people, like marijuana. I'm like, I take a little bit, and sometimes I get freaked out still. So I was like really hesitant going in just because of that. And I told myself, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to sit and support, which again, Saranda, like really a blessing that I was able to go there for my first experience, because it wasn't centered around completely just the ayahuasca. It was also the music. The music was the backbone of that. And me being able to do it was my choice, which I realized. And the experiences themselves were hard to explain. Not that I want to explain them either, because it's just, they were special and I'm still processing that. But they were really beautiful and intense and enlightening. It really isn't like what people say it is, but it also somewhat is kind of like what people say it is. But it is what you make it too. I don't know.
In what ways is it like what people say it is?
Well, you do have some kind of, it's like, depending on how much you drink, and how much you let yourself be present for it, because you could like fall asleep and maybe miss out on a whole thing. But it's dreaming without sleeping. So you see things, you experience things. It's not like you're, lost to your hallucinations. You're fully present in them a lot of the time. And you're not really hallucinating. It's more just like you're having visions, and maybe you close your eyes for a minute to meditate and you see things. Like there's the video that I was telling you about before we came here. I was kind of trying to prepare myself, because Nick, before we came here, he's like, prepare to do one night. And I was like, no, I can't. So I was trying to prepare, and I looked on YouTube at like simulations of ayahuasca trips. And there was one that was so trippy. It was like snake bodies curling in on themselves, and like what you see when you rub your eyes really hard. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. There's a little bit of that, but it isn't scary. It's really not. And I feel like the medicine actually opens you up to the experiences. And the more you try to resist it, the harder it is for you to be. Like, just like life. The more you resist things, the harder it is. That's working out, too. It's a good workout.
How so with working out?
When you resist stuff, like, there's resistance in all things, like running or lifting weights.
Isn't lifting weights resistance in its definition?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
So how do you not have resistance when you're doing resistance training?
I don't know. I guess I'm trying to say that a good workout is kind of like an ayahuasca experience.
Yeah. Life tends to be like an ayahuasca experience. There tends to be not, it's very special the first few times I've done ayahuasca. And even it's still special. There's still a peak type feeling to it. But, the more I settle into the experience, the more it's like settling into the constant unfolding, the constant waves of life. It's not so much different. It's, even though you're kind of having this peak awareness maybe, or this, it doesn't, it seems like I can tap into the things that ayahuasca shows me what I have the capability of doing in my life. I still have to, do them a lot of times. I still have to, not snap at a cheese vendor. Just for me, I can't lose myself in that. There's just, I'm not mad for doing it, but how I did it was ineffective, and how I did it was, of lowering myself.
I mean, part of me thinks ayahuasca maybe wanted you to react that way. Like, how else would you have done it differently? He wasn't taking no for an answer. How else would you have done it differently?
Well, I would have done a technical stand-up, because when I stood up, I accidentally turned my back to him, which is a no-no in self-defense and in jiu-jitsu. So I would have done more of a technical stand-up, maintained eye contact, and I wouldn't have yelled the "oh no." I would have just maybe kept my voice more low and stern. Yeah, I don't know. We learn from our mistakes so much, and that was a big takeaway from this whole music workshop. Is all like, I was almost my shadow. It wasn't the shadow that I was dealing with through this retreat. It wasn't so scary. It was more like the shame shadow. It was more like the subtle social shadows, and less about like the ooga booga scary. There was that one clown time with the clowns on the first episode, or the first ceremony, which was like a little scary, but most of the other shadow that I was facing was this the desire for validation, the desire for a certain type of attention, the failing, going for something musically, putting myself out there and failing, or missing my mark, coming in on the 4 when I should have come in on the 1. That's something I didn't talk about on the last podcast episode. Is the very last ceremony, we ended up doing 2 glasses while performing. So we did 1 glass and we played the music. We did the second glass and we played music. Most of the other ceremonies, we did 1 glass, play music. Second glass was meditation, listening to a playlist, receiving. So I just had the inkling that Karaoke was going to call, because he decides who's going to present their song. Everyone has a song, and he coordinates when people are singing their songs. And I just had the inkling that he was going to call me up when the medicine was at the deepest. And second glass comes around. I'd only sang one of my 2 songs at that point, and 1 song passes. All of a sudden, the wave of ayahuasca washes over my eyes. I start to fade inward, or just to really feel the woos of the medicine. And at that moment, I'm like, he's gonna call me. Next song, he's gonna call me. And sure enough, next song he did. And I blinked my eyes open, because I was kind of inside my head already going through the process. And I make my way to the singing chair. And the song I sang was Taita Inti. We did 2 verses total. The first verse we come in strong. Well, the first verse we come in, there's a flute interlude, and then we came in for the second verse. And the first verse, I was so deep under the medicine, but I took the leap of faith and started singing the song, and I felt like I was the music. It was one of those moments I talked about last episode, where I wasn't trying to sing, I wasn't thinking about singing, I was the song. It was singing me. I was able to access various points of my voice and my energetic field that I wasn't able to, because I was so deep under the medicine that I had no option just to let go completely and to be sung. And the first verse was great. It was really powerful. I opened my eyes a few times to see people that were engaged, and I saw the field that I was creating with my voice, and it was so beautiful. Comes the flute interlude, and it's going fine, and I'm doing my weighting, but I'm still deep under the medicine, and all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 4, I started singing. Now the problem with that was I was supposed to come in on the 1. I wasn't aware of all this at the time. I was told afterwards because I was so under the medicine that I came in on the 4. I started singing, and all of a sudden, that heavenly space that I was in, where there's people with engagement, the drums were playing, all of a sudden the drums fell out of rhythm. 4 djembe players fell out of rhythm. The people I was singing with stopped singing. Even karaoke missed his guitar stroke, or was like getting frustrated at the djembe, so I'm singing, and now the whole symphony, the whole music fell apart, and at this point I don't know why. I think I'm singing too. So this is the shadow I'm working with, is like, I'm out of the divine. I've misaligned. I've broken things. I've broken the community. Like, and I sing the song, and we finish it shakily. And I'm just there's a long silence after that song, because it started so powerful, and then it kind of fell apart, and it came back around a little bit. And there's just and it's a fucking powerful song. It's about the sun. It's a song about the sun. So you think about that. It matters when you're on ayahuasca. And then the next song comes around, and I'm playing the kashishi, and I'm self-conscious. I'm still deep under the medicine. I'm thinking I'm playing too loud. I look at someone, and they, I see pain in them because I think it's because of me. And the medicine cools down a little bit. We continue to go. It was rough music. We never really recovered until maybe 4 songs later from it. And at the pausa, yeah.
But this is, again, with 2 cups of ayahuasca at this point.
Right.
And, yeah, I'll admit, I think everybody kind of in the area, it was hard to play with the tea that strong. Because usually at that point, at least for me, there were people that were more experienced there, other people, and that was cool. But I was struggling. It was hard to focus. It was hard to keen that focus in on the beat, and especially when, again, we're all like experimenting and learning. All of us are trying, but some people they're really struggling sometimes. Like I would struggle, and then on top of me having my internal already, like my own struggle, I would hear other people playing, and it would fuck me up. Like I wouldn't know where to stop or where to start, and like hearing other people fuck up would be like such a joke. Like it would be like some kind of weird trick. Because I was like, wait, stop. No, I need to hear the beat. And then there were points where I swear, like, we're on the djembes and we're playing, and all 4 of us are playing the wrong beat. And it's like, cool. But it was hard, yeah, the ayahuasca. And I think for the people listening, it was hard too. So.
Yeah, because there were people who weren't part of the workshop who were just there having a ceremony. But they know what they're getting themselves into. They come in knowing that amateur musicians are playing songs that they've only been practicing for a week,
Well, at that point it was 2 weeks.
Right. So at the pausa, I go to one of the musicians, Guy, and I said, "What happened on Taita Inti? Why did everything fall apart?" And he's like, "Oh, after the flute interlude, you came in on the 4 instead of the 1, and it messed everything up." And it was good for me to hear that, because it demystified the experience. I thought that I just energetically destroyed things just with the bad parts of myself. I didn't know that it was like a mathematical, logical reason that things fell apart. And in regards to losing myself, that is one thing I really I feel pretty good about after this music workshop is I can hold a rhythm down, and even if others fuck up around me, I can still I have the internal metronome to not lose it, and I'm pretty thankful for that. I'm unshakable while playing music. Now, when I'm not playing music, I can still lose my attention or whatever, but I can hold the rhythm down even when people are start fucking with it, and I think you can too.
Yeah, I think so too. It was that second class, the fourth ritual that really was like threw me out of whack. But usually I'm pretty consistent. I'm not saying like I'm this practiced amazing musician. I was born with a good voice, and I've practiced some time now, but still, like, there are some people that just have a rhythm. They have the rhythm. They know when they can hear it. It's just there. Some people have to really learn and trial and error and, you know, respect to those people, because that's hard. It's really hard for... Learning rhythm is like learning how to walk for some people.
Yeah, I am glad. I think sports even and dance are in my early 20s, and maybe a part of it was natural, but percussion has come to me in a way where I've just figured everyone could do it. I just figured everyone could listen to a rhythm and be able to play it. And yeah, there is a little bit of natural talent. And again, I have so far to go with music, but I'm glad for what I've been given, you know.
Yeah, I personally was never really like I was saying I can pretty much hear rhythm and pick it up and understand it, and I can mimic pretty well, but in terms of being on the drums and like percussion, I've never been like a strong drummer, which doesn't mean much because I've never really tried. But before this, I'd never been able to like hold on to rhythms, and we learned 4 basic rhythms. There's the affoché, the galope, the rezado, and then what was the last one? It's sort of the
Bolero.
Bolero. And those were really key because they really are like the key notes, the key rhythms that you use.
Well, they are of key rhythms that you can use. I mean, it's basically 3/4 and 4/4 time signatures. So those are foundational time signatures to many songs. There was a good method to the madness, and doing the repetition, the amount of repetition we did, it really has ingrained the rhythms into me, and that's what makes me feel even more unshakable moving forward. That I talked about in the last episode about dancing and how I can 1-2 step when I feel like I've lost the oomph, or I've lost the song, or I'm no longer the song, but I'm dancing on the song again. I can return to the 1, 2, 3, 4. I can return to a 1-2 step, and I feel the same way. I have my 1-2 step in the djembe now. I have my 1-2 step with the kashishi, where I can go and lose myself in the song, but then if I losing myself, then I can return to a beat that's ingrained in me through repetition, through practice, that I can find myself. I can find the 1, 2, 3, 4 again, so I can launch off when I'm ready.
I think the ones, the instruments that I've been like really blessed to work with have been the djembe and my own voice. Like I feel like I've really kind of reconnected with my own voice. Before coming to this place, I was singing regularly. Like I would sing every day, and for pleasure, for my own recording purposes. I love to sing. It's a gift, and I'm grateful for it. So it was really nice to just be able to share with people. And also, of course, it's always nice to be told that like you sound good, and it's good for the ego sometimes to have compliments like that. Not that I'm on any shortage of that, but I was happy about that. And the djembe is like different level of being power power. Like, having a powerful voice is one thing, but being able to carry a rhythm is a power move. And I'd say guitar I suck at because I don't practice at all, and there's not really passion for it there. Maybe later in life, maybe when we get home, but it wasn't the top priorities. But the kashishis, I was like, I'm learning still. I can hold it, but nothing compared to the kashishi master, as Karaoke says. Kashishi master.
I didn't tell the audience that in any of the episodes. I talked about the kashishi, but there was a hesitation for everyone to play the kashishi in the group we were in. Most people didn't want to play it, and since I could just do it, and it wasn't about being able to do it, but we were doing it for 5 minutes at a time. So doing a for 5 minutes, people inevitably lose it. I don't lose it for whatever reason, through focus or through sheer fucking determination, sometimes joy. So because of that, Karaoke would always call me up to be the kashishi, and it became the joke that I was the kashishi master. The drawing that I did for him was a kashishi drawing, and it came out really good. I'm patting myself on the back a lot this episode, which is fine. It's a good. If you check out the drawing, I was sad. It was one of those drawings that I liked it so much I was actually sad to give it away, even though I drew it solely for the intention of Karaoke and to give it to him. And when I draw something for other people, I think about them as often as possible. So it is literally his drawing that I was just able to do, but I was sad to see it go.
Yeah, and I think the kashishis in general, they're a different level of intensity than the drums. The drums are deep resonating, and the kashishis are this high energy, like literally when I'm playing the drums, at least, I listen for the kashishis through the music to be able to keep in tune, keep in rhythm, because they are that high. They're that high, and you can really hear them over all the noise, all the music going on. And they carry the song too, and they're, it's hard. It's like a lot of energy. You're constantly moving, and you're standing too. A lot of people, like, I noticed the day that we learned the kashishis, Karaoke said, like, this is a standing instrument, which I was like, okay, standing and focusing and trying to stay in rhythm for however long. That's a bunch of things to do at once.
Well, standing was more just being seen and being higher than everyone else. And having that staccato of an instrument it's a powerful instrument, and it cuts through the psyche quite a bit. Yeah. And I was drawn to it, and I bought some, and I'm going to practice as much as possible. I'm thinking to end the episode. Do you want to sing a little song?
Any song?
Yeah. You can sing something short like Nature Boy.
Okay. I'll do that.
Are you prepared?
I am prepared. I'm prepared.
Yeah. Take your time.
Okay.
We can sing Nana together too.
I'm gonna do Nature Boy. Okay. There was a boy, a very strange, enchanted boy. They say he wandered very far, over land and sea. A little shy and sad of eye, but very wise was he. And then one day, a magic day, he passed my way. And while we spoke of many things, fools and kings, this he said to me: the greatest thing you will ever learn is just to love and be loved in return.
This has been the GoodWind. That was beautiful. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.